Yeshayahu, Isaiah chapter 10. Woe to those who enact unjust decrees and draft oppressive legislation, to deprive the impoverished of justice and rob my people's poor of their rights, looting widows and preying on orphans. What will you do on the day of punishment, when calamity comes from afar? To whom will you flee for help? Where will you leave your wealth, so as not to squat among the prisoners or fall among the slain? Even after all this, his anger remains, his upraised hand still threatens. O Asher, the rod expressing my anger, the club in their hands is my fury. I am sending him against a hypocritical nation, ordering him to march against the people who enrage me, to take the spoil and the plunder, and trample them down like mud in the street. That is not what Asher intends. That is not what they think. Rather, they mean to destroy, to cut down nation after nation. For the king says, Aren't I all my commanders kings? Has not Calno suffered like Carchemish, Hamat like Arpad, Shomron like Damascus? Just as my hand reached the kingdoms of non-gods, with more images than in Jerusalem and Shomron, so will I do to Jerusalem and her non-gods what I did to Shomron and her idols. Therefore, when Adonai has done everything he intends to do to Mount Zion and Jerusalem, I will punish the king of Asher for the boasting that comes from his proud heart and from reveling in his arrogant looks. For he says, With my own strong arm I have done this, and with my wisdom because I'm so clever. I erased the boundaries between peoples. I plundered their stores for the future. As a mighty man, I subjected the inhabitants. My hand found the riches of the peoples like a nest, and as one gathers abandoned eggs, I gathered the whole earth. Not one wing fluttered, not one beak opened or let out a chirp. Should the axe glorify itself over the one who chops with it? Should the saw magnify itself over the one who moves it? It's as if a stick could wave the hand that raises it up, or as if a wooden staff could lift a person who is not made of wood. Therefore the Lord Adonai Zebaot will send leanness to his well-fed ones, and in place of his glory a fire will be kindled that will burn and burn. The light of Israel will become a fire, and his Holy One a flame, burning and devouring his thorns and briars in a single day. The glory of his forest and of his fertile land he will consume body and soul, like an invalid wasting away. So few forest trees will remain that a child could list them. On that day, the remnant of Israel, those of the house of Yaakov who escaped, will no longer rely on the man who struck them down, but will truly rely on Adonai, the Holy One of Israel. A remnant will return, the remnant of Yaakov, to the mighty God. For although your people Israel are like the sand of the sea, only a remnant of them will return. Destruction is decreed, overflowing with justice. Adonai Elohim Zebaot will bring about this decreed destruction throughout all the land. Therefore, Adonai Elohim Zebaot says, My people living in Zion, don't be afraid of Asher, even when he strikes you with a stick and raises his staff against you, the way it was in Egypt. For in but a little while my fury will end, and my anger will have destroyed them. Adonai Zebaot will wield a whip against them, as he did when striking Midian at the rock of Oreb. As his staff was over the sea, he will raise it, the way it was in Egypt. On that day his burden will fall from your shoulders, and his yoke from your neck. The yoke will be destroyed by your prosperity. He has come to Ayat and passed through Migron. He has stored his equipment at Michmas. They have crossed the pass that lodged at Geva. Ramah is shaking. Givat Shaul has fled. Cry, shriek, Bat Galim. Listen, Laish, poor Anatot. Madmeneh is in flight. The people of Givim take cover. This very day he will stop at Nov, and he will shake his fist at the mountain of the daughter of Zion, at the hill of Jerusalem. See how Adonai Elohim Zebaot lops off the branches with terrible violence. The ones standing highest are chopped down, the lofty are laid low. He will hack down the forest underbrush with an axe, and the Lebanon in its splendor falls.